Do you ever notice that your voice shakes when you're either on stage or in front of a camera or under the spotlight or the pressure's on? So, how do you stop your voice from shaking like that? I've got some tips for you, 3 to be exact. Number 1, let's talk about the role of relaxation. I get it. The last thing that you want to hear when you're all stressed out is to relax. However, it's probably the very best thing that you could hear. And here's why. When you feel nervous and stressed and the pressure is building, it can cause you to tense up in various places of your body. And that tension is never a good fit when you're performing. Let me give you an example of a type of tension that can affect you both physically and with regard to vocal health. Tension in the belly. A lot of times, singers or speakers or actors or teachers or anyone in the spotlight will get that that tightness, that tension in the belly because of nerves or because of the pressure or fear or whatever. And when you have that tension in your belly, what happens is that you can't take a full breath. And a full breath is going to relax your body. So when you're not able to get that full breath because there's tension in your belly, you're going to take a whole bunch of shallow breaths. And the more you take shallow breath after shallow breath after shallow breath, combined with tension and fear, it creates what I call a panic breath. Your body gets in like trauma mode. It feels almost like you're hyperventilating. And you can get into a situation where you just feel like no matter what you do, you can't get enough air. And it's all because you're creating tension in your belly. So relaxation plays a huge role in situations like this. You find yourself in a situation, I'll tell you what I do. When I find myself in a situation where I need to be relaxed because I'm nervous, because for whatever reason, I feel under pressure in a way that I'm not accustomed to. What I instinctively do is I take my hand and I put it on my belly. And it's just this physical reminder to me, oh, right, relax. And then what it causes me to do is to relax my belly into my hand. It's a physical reminder to me, oh, yes, relax yourself. And when I relax, then I'm able to take a low, relaxing breath again, which just by doing that can calm some of that nervous energy. All of this we were talking about is related to a shaky voice. When you are feeling that tension in your body like that, it can cause your voice to shake because of the nerves. And the more you tighten there, the more prone you are to having that shakiness. So relaxation is the most important thing that you can do. My number 1 tip is to find a way. Like I said, my little cue is a hand on my belly. It reminds me, oh yeah, relax. And I can feel my whole body just kind of like, oh, okay, right. And I can breathe into my hand because that is where that breath should be anyway. So relax. That's first step. So something else that can cause your voice to shake, whether you're nervous or not, is lack of support. Lack of support is actually, unfortunately, extremely common in voice users, people that use their voice for their careers or more than other humans. And it's largely because there's a lack of, not really a lack of education, because I know people are teaching it, but a lack of education in a way that the student retains it. I have been coaching for 22 years, and I have never once in those 22 years had someone come to me, no matter how long they'd been training prior to being with me. I have never once had someone come to me that already knew how to support their sound in a way that they could explain it to me or demonstrate it to me or understand any of it. So they obviously weren't using it. If you don't understand something well enough that you can explain what it is that you're doing, then you're not likely to actually do it because you don't know how you're doing it. You don't know how to tell your body to do it. So you're more than likely not going to use it. If you're not going to use it, then you have all kinds of other issues. Let's talk about support. First, I'm going to tell you about the 4 P's of support, which to me are the 4 benefits, the 4 reasons that supporting your sound is essential if you're someone who uses your voice more than other people. And this will play into why it's important for you to support your sound to prevent having shakiness in your voice. Those 4 P's. Number 1, my favorite one, it protects. It helps protect your vocal cords when you are supporting your sound. So support of the sound is engaging in larger muscle groups so that these teeny bitty little cords don't have to do all the hard lifting. So when you make sound and you force your tiny little vocal cords to take the initial impact of making sound, instead of just flapping together like they're supposed to in order to make sound, they first slam together. And that slamming, especially if it's repeated slamming, can cause your cords to swell. And it can cause them to develop calluses, which are like nodes or nodules, polyps. All of that can happen from constantly asking more of your cords than is meant for them. So instead, you ask a larger muscle group, which is your core muscles, to take the initial impact of that sound. I have all kinds of video training on how to support your sound, so I would recommend that you check my videos for tips on how to do that. So that number 1P is protect. It helps protect your cords from damage. The number 2P of support is prolong. So for those of you who sing, you know that you need more air to sing than you do to speak. When we speak, we automatically take enough air to complete our thought for the most part. When we sing, we have to be a little bit more intentional about that breath. And we have to make sure that it lasts as long as we need it to, because everything we're doing in singing is elongated. So supporting your sound, contrary to what it may instinctively tell you or lead you to believe, will help prolong your breath. It regulates the airflow that comes out so that you do not run out before you are ready to run out of air. So the number 2P of support, the number 2 reason that it's important is that supporting the sound prolongs your breath. Number 3, this is another favorite of mine, is power. Obviously, that's a pretty important word to me. But if you, I tell this story all the time, but it's such a clear picture that I like to say this. If you have ever, when you were a kid, my brother and I, we used to sit at the top of the stairs, and I have yet to meet an adult who didn't do this when they were a kid. So tell me in the comments if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But when we were kids, we would sit at the top of the stairs and we would make a sound and we would scoot ourselves down the stairs. Now, as you hit the next stair, every time you hit a stair, your voice does this, it like jolts forward, which makes you laugh, which is why you do it, right? That little jolt of sound that your voice gets from hitting the next stair comes from your body making an impact with that stair. Right? It's not because your voice is doing it. It's because the impact of hitting the stair is just jolting your voice forward. So you don't make any effort to make that jolt forward, that extra boost of power. Well, supporting your sound is the same. When you engage those core muscles of support, you are giving yourself a boost of power without having to strain from here. Super cool, super helpful. Number 4 is performance. And the reason I call it this is because you're able to control the performance of your voice. The performance of your voice is dependent upon your ability to support and feel grounded and having the ability to sort of guide and be in charge of what happens to your voice. So it gives you a sense of grounding. If you're a singer, it helps you to stay in the center of pitch. If you're a speaker, this is where that shakiness comes in. Having that extra added support in your sound allows you to feel like you can control what is happening with your voice. So shakiness and kind of wavering around in your voice, all of that is much more common when support is lacking. That right there is a reason to support your sound. If you're here because you have a shaky voice and you want to stop it, you need to learn how to support your sound. Check the description of this video for all kinds of free resources, and you'll find plenty for how to support your sound properly. I also have a TikTok channel if you haven't checked it out yet. One of my pinned videos is called I Bet You're Not Doing This, and it outlines exactly how to support your sound. So check it out if you haven't already. So let's talk about my third tip. My third tip is getting a coach. One of my favorite things from being a coach for the past 22 years, one of my favorite things to hear, which still surprises me every time and brings, wells my eyes up with tears, is hearing a client say to me, I couldn't have done this without you. And I always like to say, well, you kind of did. I just guided you. it is one of my favorite things to hear from singers. It's because what a singer feels, what a speaker feels, what an actor feels when they're able to have the support of a coach helping them do something that they didn't think they could do on their own. It feels really good to know that you're the person that helped make that happen. And this is one of those kinds of things. Shakiness in the voice, like I said, can come from fear and lack of preparation and lack of confidence. And all of those kinds of things are things that improve almost immediately upon working with a coach. It's so common for a singer after their first lesson, when they may come in completely terrified, but after their first session, they feel like, wow, I feel like a superstar. Like I could go out to karaoke and sing the scariest song on earth and feel okay. I've had that kind of thing happen to me so many times where someone works with me in their very first session, they walk away feeling like the most confident person in the world. And it's because the very act of opening yourself up. First of all, like I said, singing is very vulnerable. So being able to open yourself up to sing in front of another person, knowing that that other person, me, is going to critique you, that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of confidence. And it takes a lot of willingness to be vulnerable. Also, just being the very act of learning the extra skill that you get from being with a coach boosts your confidence. So those two things right there, which you're going to get in every single session, are going to help boost that confidence. So sometimes just having that boosted confidence makes that shakiness go away. A lot of times that shakiness comes from a lack of belief in yourself. And one of the easiest places to get that kind of mojo and power back is from working with a coach. If you are someone who is looking for a coach or looking for some kind of coaching in your performing, let's have a conversation. There are a load of links in the description below. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. I have opportunities to get coached in a variety of ways, and I would invite you to check them out because you are going to be able to do so much more with your voice and so much less. You're going to stop shaking in your voice. You're going to stop being afraid. You're going to stop feeling unprepared. You're going to stop feeling like, I don't know if I'm good enough to even be here. Those are the things that go away. And in their place, you get confidence and skill. The ability, this I hear this so often from singers and speakers. I didn't know I could do that until I worked with you. I feel I could go out and do absolutely anything. I hear that all the time from people after they work with me. It's like, wow, I can do anything now. It's so common. So anyway, check out the links below. Get a coach. I would love to have the opportunity to be that coach for you in whatever capacity is most suitable for you. So check it out, and I hope this was helpful.